Hey everyone, Pete from Ragtop. We're here with an install video on one of our new products, our liner and ear flap system for leather helmets. Super easy to install. You only need a few tools and a little bit of know-how, and you can replace and maintain your liner just like firemen have done for the last 100 years before any of us fire helmet guys came along. It's not hard. You can do it on your own. So let's get into it. Tools you're going to need are super simple. A couple little pairs of pliers, flathead screwdriver for opening up the brass band, snips to cut down your wire, hammer to hammer down your brass band when you're done. So here we have this existing helmet that's in for a liner swap. You want to take your flathead screwdriver and you want to use it to create some separation in between the brass band and the liner itself. All right, depending on the age of your brass band, putting the flathead screwdriver in there can cause a little damage if you're not careful. So when you slide it in, you don't want to rock it back and forth. You just want to use it to create enough separation. We'll pull it out and then we can work on opening up the rest of the brass band. So let's get into it a little bit here. Nice and gently, you want to just kind of use it to open up some room. Okay, and what that does, it'll allow this to be able to pull. You're going to pull this right from here and you're just going to pop it right out. All right, so now this brass band has been hammered down, so we want to open it up. You want to take your flathead screwdriver and you want to just pick a place to start, open it up. Now be careful when you're doing that, because if it slips out, this brass band edge is sharp and you'll slice up your knuckles pretty good if you're not careful. All right, so now we know that the brass band is open and it's ready to accept the new liner. So here we have our liner. The area you want to pay attention to is this little union, right? There's a union which joins the two pieces of wire together. The wire runs around the entire outside of the liner system. It gives it its shape and it allows tension to be put on the liner as it goes into the brass band, and it holds it all together. So now we're going to test fit our liner to see if there needs to be any adjustments made, right? So now the brass band's opened up and ready to go. We're going to pop the liner in pretty quick here. Tuck everything in. You want to make sure it's relatively well centered. You're not installing it, so it doesn't need to be perfect. And we're going to look at this bottom little bend here, and it's sticking out past the brass band, so that's telling us that it does need to be cut down. So I'm going to remove it real quick, and we're going to open up this little flap here, and that's where our union and that's where our wire is. So that's what we want to separate. We want to separate the union and the wire because we're going to cut the wire itself. So with the wire, you don't want to cut too much off initially, so it's better to make smaller cuts leading up to the right size, so that way you ensure that you have enough tension. You don't want to size it too short. If you size it too short, we'll have wires available, for you to swap out. Sometimes that does happen, even on the best days, to the best of us. Starting with small incremental cuts and just checking, cut, check, cut, check is gonna work out really well to ensure that you don't have to replace the wire. So we'll make a little cut. You want to hold the wire with the pliers and then use the snips to cut it. This way the little piece of wire doesn't go flying off and hit you in the eyeball. Put the wire back in the union. Just go for a test fit. Okay, so we can kind of tell already that we need to cut a little bit more off. We're getting close, but we got to cut a little more. All right, so this should be it. That should be the last and final cut. We'll get some tension in there. There we go. So now what you need to do is you need to make sure that your ear flaps are centered. These are a little bit off, so we're just going to pop this out a little bit. Just adjust it so it's a little more centered, and then pop that liner back in. You hear a nice snap, okay? Now what we'll need to do is pull this flap back. So this flap is what's going to protect that wire from touching the brass on the inside. Pull that back, pull the flap down underneath. There we go, nice and centered, ready to go. Now you can take your hammer and just pick a point. And that's it, and here you have it. A little bit tight, so you can adjust the sizing band in the inside. I actually kind of like mine just gone for this helmet specifically, and here you go. Right down nice and low. Pull the flaps out. There we go, nice and low. All right, so if you have to size your liner up, say you got a medium and it's a little larger medium, it's an older 5A that's sized like say 7 3/8, that's always kind of what seems to be in the middle of a medium and a large, and you need to size it up. You just need to give it a little bit extra to get a little more tension. You just pop it here, and you're gonna expose your union, right? So you have your 2 wires in your union. So what you can do is you can take a little crimp here, one of your pliers, we're gonna crimp it right there. You don't want to cut it, you just want to crimp it. It's a little too hard to cut. Our union is significantly harder than what else is out there on the market. Then you can go ahead and you can put another crimp there, test fit it, see how much you need. And then obviously, so now we've opened it up and you can see inside here, we've got a little gap about, maybe like a 1/4 of an inch gap right there. So that's going to give us an additional 1/4 inch of tension on that liner wire, okay? If you need to shorten the wire, just an up close version, just take your pliers, just pop that wire out. You want to hold your wire right there, just make a little cut, and you go ahead and you just pop your wire right back into that union, and now you've shortened the liner to fit like a smaller size option of the helmet that you have. Every helmet's different, so adjusting your liner is pretty key on getting the proper fitment of your liner into your helmet, which is going to ultimately help the proper fitment of the helmet on your head.